go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. There are a ton of folks here from sort of all different connection points, whether it's the neighborhood, whether it's some of the individuals we're honoring here, whether it's city staff from multiple departments. And so we're glad to be together. I'm also grateful to be here with my family. We got them, picked them up and they're playing out here, and we have the First Lady here. So we're gonna let her kick things off.
Thank you. It is such a treat to be out here. We live nearby. Our kids go to school just down the street, and so we have had lots of walks and bike rides over the course of the construction of the park. Our kids were delighted to spend some of their end-of-year school celebrations here, already enjoying this incredible space. And I think what we're taken with every time we pass by, or every time we have the fortune of stopping here, is what an incredible community effort this has been. The amount of teamwork across the city, working with the incredible Barelas neighborhood, working with incredible community input to make this happen. There's always a place here when we stand here where we recognize both what this space means for the history, not just of Barelas, but for our entire city, and what it means from the future. So just talking to some of the neighbors here, right, who are reflecting on the time they've spent 123 years in the same home as their family, and how special it is, I think, for all of us to look out at these trees, to look at this space, and think of what it means to have created some of this, a space for gathering and a space for community for the next 123 years and beyond that as well. So we are so appreciative to all of you for being part of that history and for helping to craft this future. It's a special place for community, and we can't thank you enough for being a big part of that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I just want to add a couple of things. Number one, as our First Lady mentioned, this is as close as we get even to our house for a community center too. So while we call it the Barelas Community Center, it of course services really multiple neighborhoods just around downtown. And it's even, occasionally I still play handball. These are some of the last courts left, so I'm excited to get back to playing handball. And we were coming over here with our kids and they were like, that's not even new. And so I do want to acknowledge that, this was here before, first off, as Liz mentioned, for a long, long time, especially the families. But also, most of this was sort of finished in the spring. But we wanted to make sure we could celebrate with the community. And we also wanted to make sure some of the key elements were in place, whether it's the playground or the grass and so forth. And there's a little bit left, and Dave Simon, our parks director, is going to talk about this. But look, fundamentally, this particular area is also about connecting our families, literally. You see the community center here, where we have all the programming, where we have the after-school programs, where even my daughter plays basketball. And then, of course, we see the senior center right over there, multi-generational with great food. By the way, they have some of the best even among senior centers in terms of their amazing breakfasts and lunches. I encourage you all to try it. But this is a special place of Albuquerque and of New Mexico. It's a multi-generational place where our families come together for all sorts of wonderful activities 7 days a week. It's also, of course, home to the historic, we still use the term Indian room just because that's what it was historically, but if you know what it is, that room is incredible. It's where the neighborhood meets to discuss core issues in the community. It's also where we have retreats at the city. So this is a special place for us. And this is a place that also does go back many, many generations, including right across the street where the Dukes first played. So some folks might remember the original Duke Stadium was just right over there too. So it's in much need of a facelift, and especially for this outdoor space, that's what this project has been all about. Now, part of what we're also doing in Albuquerque, and we announced this at the State of the City, is we're trying to share the stories of us, the power of us, the stories of all of you, the stories of leaders in our community who've been activists, who've been poets, who've been leaders, or maybe who just were helpful for decades. And so we're trying to do this now in almost everything that we do. It's called the Story of Us Project. And I want to encourage you, if you want to learn more about this or to nominate individuals, you can do this online. Just Google City of Albuquerque Stories of Us. But the idea is that our places have a history, and our city has a history. And we're so grateful here today to reflect on some of that history today. And first and foremost, it's about I think a community hero, fundamentally. Juan Jose Peña, who I know has family here. We're going to talk a little bit about what he meant to the community. I got to know him a little bit just at the end of his life. I remember when I first met him, it was him actually and Jose Armas around the roundhouse chasing me, teaching me the history of the International District, when it was called something else back then. And so they led in all sorts of ways, whether it was being chairman of the Hispano Roundtable, but Juan Jose especially as trustee of the Hispanic Cultural Center and the Department of Education's Bilingual Education Advisory Committee and the Downtown Action Team, and so much more in between that I know Ralph will talk about a little bit today. So we're proud to name this Juan Jose Peña Plaza in his honor. So, and we're going to have this sign. It's a sort of semi-permanent sign that we're going to have, but there's going to be this sign as well as some other items that are going to sort of make this iconic in memory of him. And I know one of our representatives here too is going to speak a little bit about that. But this is part of the story of us. Part of our story is, of course, the story of Juan Jose Peña, and I know he would really get a kick out of this. And he'd probably also have some nuggets in there to needle us about and things we got to keep doing. And he'd say, it's more than just about a sign. But today, we're going to remember him with this plaza, with his family, and with this sign and this naming of the plaza. So with that, I'm going to hand it over. The last thing I'm going to say is, look, when we came into office, there was a string of projects that I committed to getting done, and they were all like half-baked or not even half-baked. And this was one. I remember even Representative talked to me about this, Representative Miguel Garcia, and it was like, there's no money, there's some plans, there's like 100,000 here or there, but we've been working on it for 10 years. And I remember saying, we are going to get this done. And look, it did take us 5. But with the help mostly of Dave Simon and his crew, and also what Carol Pierce does and Senior Affairs, we're able to deliver on this. And this is now adding on to a growing list of projects that we're actually finishing, like the housing project we announced yesterday, Calle Cuerte, also like the Westgate Community Center, like the soon-to-be completed Martinez Town Community Center that no one thought would happen.
All right.
And also even the Scene Arrow Community Center in the International District Library, so I know it's taken a while. But these improvements are coming to our historic, underserved neighborhoods, long overdue, and we're delivering on them, and that's part of this project. Thank you. So with that, Dave, tell us more about it.
All right.
Buenas tardes, and thank you, Mayor. Thank all of you wonderful folks for coming out tonight. As the Mayor said, these projects are community-driven projects that don't get completed without community support and engagement. And this project has had phenomenal support and engagement from not only from our state legislators and our city councilors and the community itself, but I just have to say that the mayor and the First Lady and really the entire First family, because they're all involved in parks.
It's true.
They are like the #1 family supporters of parks, maybe in the history of our city. So we get...
We spend a lot of time there.
They do, and it's good because they're checking up on us all the time. And I take input from Maya and Jack as seriously and maybe more seriously than I do from the mayor. No, at any rate, we also have a few VIPs who help with this project who were not able to join us tonight. I just want to recognize Senator Jerry Ortiz-y-Pino and Senator Bill O'Neill, both who have supported this project, and their support in particular is going to help us complete the park. So if you want to bring your familia, you're going to be able to do it here in fine style and get them all on one table. And please invite me to eat. We're going to add porch swings and 3 dedicated pickleball courts on the west side of the east edge of the park there as well, along with outdoor exercise equipment, which will be suitable for all ages. And last but not least, we're going to add in a top-notch interpretive and educational signage package to this park. It's going to come in the form of storytelling, and the story of us, Mayor, is going to be told here about Barelas in the form of a wonderful walking path that can also be used for fitness and activity. So we are going to continue to tell the story of us here and the story of Barelas for generations to come. We're going to need a little bit of help and support from some of our great allies, the legislature and the council, but I am 100% convinced that we are going to get it done. So onward to the future of Barelas. Thank you very much. I'd like to bring up Director Carol Pierce.
Thank you so much, Dave Simon, Director. We're just...
We're going to pause. We're just going to shift
Yes.
into the shade. Grab your chairs.
Okay.
Grab Carol's. Yeah. Good call, man. Good call.
And we're moving this podium, I bet.
I think you can leave the speaker.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay,
You're in the hot
I'll
seat.
stay here.
And also, if any of you folks need a chair,
Always adjusting on the fly. Thank you. That's
a little
great.
audible for you.
That's great. So again, thank you. We are so excited to be here with the Barelas neighbors, the community on this very important occasion. And so it's taxpayer dollars at work through our federal grants. And I really want to acknowledge Jessica Herrera, raise your hand, Monica Montoya, Stacy Ruiz. These are the people from our Community Development Division that navigated the paperwork, worked along with Parks to make this funding possible. So thank you so much for all of your work. We are excited, and I think, Dave, you did a great job about talking about what's happening in the plaza and what will happen with our community center. We're excited to say that 150 youth have signed up for our summer programming. We've just finished our training, and I'd really like to do a shout out to Jessica and Michael. These are our leaders right here for our Barelas Community Center. So it's high energy, high action here at Barelas. So right here in with the new lawn and the playground, we'll be doing our summer lunch program. We'll be continuing to hold the trophy here at Barelas for the basketball tournament. I know there's a lot of competition between the community centers, but we want Barelas to keep that trophy. And we're also excited that the space will be opened up on June 23rd. We'll be doing our High Five Hero Celebration. And this moves around to different parks, but this is where we work with first responders, our police, our firemen and firewomen come out to really talk to the youth from all over our community about the work they do. We'll have a climbing wall, we'll be doing obstacle courses, and we'll really be celebrating the first responders and really let them meet our youth. Following on that, we have teen nights all over the community to celebrate Albuquerque's teens, but we'll be doing that here in Barelas on July 14th with a sports night and karaoke. So get that on your calendar. Sometimes we've had hundreds of Albuquerque's youth attending that, so we're very excited for that. And so just lastly, just thank you for the Barelas neighbors that have been so patient with us as we've had to close some of our operations, but we're in full swing now, and just really want to thank the team for all the support to make this possible. Thanks.
All right, Carol.
Well, just to echo, obviously, our brother and sister department. I'm Anna Sanchez. I'm the director for the Department of Senior Affairs. And I just want to say congratulations for getting this done. And just want to thank all that put input. I know we had a lot of our folks from the Senior Center. I'd like to thank Julio Santos-Esteban, our center manager, that does a great job. Just yesterday, we were out here enjoying this beautiful area to be able to have an aerobics class led by one of our most dedicated volunteers, Pat. You're in the back there, but we have one of the most active volunteer programs here at Barelas. We look forward to using this space, whether or not it's our community garden or our senior center that's been here since 1978. So we know this is a deep historic part of our community. We're very proud to be a part of this effort, and we look forward to the beautiful things yet to come. So thank you so much to everyone that supported this, and Director Simon, and congratulations to the mayor for making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you to all our speakers so far. We'd at this time like to invite up State Representative Miguel Garcia, who actually helped with the project.
Gracias, muy buenas tardes de Dios. You know, there's a saying in our native New Mexican Indo-Hispano culture It's passed down through our ancestors, and it deals with the issue of struggle. And, you know, our elders are growing up would always say, in light of adversity, they'd always say, la lucha es permitida. And that means that to struggle for a worthy cause is a worthy endeavor. And that's what we have here today. You know, this thing came about not only because of the efforts of our city leaders and city department heads, but because of the gente, you know, the people themselves, you know, that, and when I came on board back in 1997, I'm going on my 26-year state rep, and I've always had Barelas in my district, even though it's gone through some redistricting. And I've always told the gente to always strive, to always seek state-of-the-art in whatever we engage in. State-of-the-art in our road improvements, state-of-the-art in our educational institutions, in our educational leaders, teachers, etc., in our neighborhood initiatives, be they parks, be they road improvements, be they kind of iconic landscapes, is to seek state-of-the-art. Do not settle for second class. Do not settle for migajas. You know, we're done taking scraps, you know, in terms of dealing with our needs and issues. When Mayor Keller came on board, a couple of months after that, I told him I want to take him on a tour of some areas in my district and even outside the district. And I took him on a tour of Barelas, and I showed him some of the things that needed improving. The roads, 4th Street, 2nd Street, landscaping up and down, road improvements up on Bridge, Avenida Cesar Chavez. Took him into South Broadway, did the same thing. And even though it's not in my district, I took him to the International District. And I committed to the mayor that I'd be willing to help in terms of some of the initiatives there in the International District, if the city also came on board and did some improvements, especially that park that's named after a police officer that was shut down in response to a call. And so it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I have to say that the mayor has come through on all the initiatives that he committed to on that tour that I took him on. And I think there's still more things to come from the mayor. And I want to thank some of you in the audience that throughout the years have made Barelas kind of a model community, a model Indo-Hispano, traditional Indo-Hispano community of perseverance, of pride and culture and values and beliefs, and most important, of struggle for social justice. And we have some of those people in the audience. You know, Dorothy Chavez, head of the Neighborhood Association, Mr. Aragon here, one of the fighters for this community ever since I came on board. We have Ben. Where's Ben? Benjamin. I think he took off. Oh, I started Benjamin. He's always at these functions, and he's been doing that ever since I came on board 26 years ago, and they're still there, you know. And so again, you know, we have the opportunity to vote for a new city councilor for this area, and there's a candidate in the audience that you should get to meet, and I think he'd do good for this area. Also, the city is going to be looking at the legislature to finish off the initiative. And I just want to advise the city not to come to us with your package the week when we're finalizing our capital outlay. That's a big bad habit that both the city and the county have. And what happens is that I commit capital even in September. I start committing my capital outlay in September. So when the session kicks in January, the third Tuesday, 95% of my capital is committed. I already know where I'm going to spend it. So all these hundreds of lobbyists and agencies and entities are coming this last week when we're finalizing capital. Can you help me with X, Y, Z? I said, brother, you should have come to me in September and October, not 3 days before the deadline where we have to submit our capital. So city officials, heed that advice, because you guys are the worst when it comes to not doing that, not coming to us the last week of that capital outlay process, where we're finalizing our capital. But, you've got a commitment from me. We need that amount definitely before the session starts, way in advance of when the session starts. We need to seek out our new senator for this area, which will be Bill O'Neill. Senator Ortiz-Pino is retiring, a year and a half from now, but his district was totally annihilated. This predominantly kind of Hispano-based district was annihilated, and they moved it all the way to Rio Rancho, and it kind of made it a kind of a Republican safe district, instead of a majority Hispano seat that we had for generations. But anyway, Bill O'Neill, they moved his district all the way from the mid-North Valley and moved it into this area, including across the river where I live. So again, thank you all the leaders in the community. Thank you all the city officials. And most of all, Alcalde Keller, muchas gracias y que Dios los bendiga a todos.
Thank you. And lastly, we would like to invite up Ralph Arianes, who will be reciting a poem on behalf of Juan Jose Peña.
Thank you very much for that introduction. And before I do my poem, I wanted to talk a little bit about Juan Jose Peña. But there's also another historical figure from this area that many people know or you've heard of. U.S. Senator Dennis Chavez used to live here as a child, and he delivered groceries on a horse and wagon out here when he was a young kid before he went on to do great things in the U.S. Senate and everywhere else. So my name is Ralph Arianes. I'm the chairman of the Hispano Roundtable of New Mexico. My predecessor was Don Juan Jose Peña. And it's great to be here today. What do you think about Don Juan Jose Peña Plaza? Isn't it beautiful? I want to thank the Peña family for always being supportive of me and Juan Jose and all the work that we do. It's very tiring work, and I was just sharing with Tom Clayton, the primo of Juan Jose, who drove in from Las Vegas, that Juan Jose Peña used to go to all these different meetings all the time, and he'd have his briefcase, and it was about 2 feet wide, but stuffed with papers and papers sticking out. Now, I don't know how he found all the stuff that he needed for the meeting, but he did. And but he jumped from one meeting to the next, and he had this, looked like a filing cabinet, but it was his briefcase. So I want to thank the Peña family, and some of you, his daughter had to leave to the airport a while ago. I also want to thank the Hermanos y Hermanas de Barelas Neighborhood, the Barelas Neighborhood Association. Thank you all very much. And this group was near and dear to Juan Jose Peña's heart. All of our veteranos, if you're a veteran, thank you very much. Raise your hand. You're all standing. Juan Jose Peña believed in veterans with his whole heart. And he always had a saying, La unión hace la fuerza. Together we are stronger. That's what Juan Jose always talked about, and we use that as our logo on the Hispano Roundtable New Mexico letterhead. And to the great people of Las Vegas, New Mexico, give yourselves a hand. Las Vegas, a lot of you drove in here. And then the Brown Berets, where are the Brown Berets? I know they're here somewhere. The Brown Berets of Las Vegas and New Mexico, thank you very much. Juan Jose has a big history with the Brown Berets. And a warm welcome to all of you who worked with Juan Jose Peña through the Hispano Roundtable New Mexico, the American GI Forum. He was a commander for many, many years. La Partido de la Raza Unida, SASO, CASO, and so many other groups and organizations who worked with Juan Jose Peña throughout his whole life. Don Juan Jose Peña grew up in Las Vegas, and he graduated from Robertson High School in 1964. He lettered in football, wrestling, and track for Robertson High School. I know I'm a West Las Vegas Don, but we grew to love each other. Juan Jose was a weightlifter. He played semi-pro soccer, a certified lifeguard, and a longtime weightlifter. He played semi-pro hockey at the seminary at Montezuma Castle near Las Vegas. He was a prolific comic book collector, and people in Las Vegas had to get permission from his neighbors so that they could see his comic book collection. It was during his freshman year at New Mexico Hines University in the fall of 1964 that a young and impressionable Juan Jose Peña heard a speech by land grants activist Reyes Lopez Tijerina during a visit to Hines University that transformed Juan Jose into the amazing activist that he became. On that day, Juan Jose became a member of La Alianza Federal de la Mercedes, or the Federal Alliance of Land Grants. As an activist student, Juan Jose completed his studies and received a Bachelor of Arts degree in History, Political Science, and Economics in 1968. He minored in German language. Later on, he completed his PhD studies at UNM. After completing his degree with honors at New Mexico Hines University, Juan Jose got drafted into the Vietnam War and served from 1969 to 1970, a very heavy period during that war. He served in the United States Army. He attended the non-commissioned officers course at the United States Army Infantry School at Fort Benning, Georgia, with Ranger training. During this training, he set a squad leader obstacle course record. He then attended platoon sergeant training at Fort Ord, California. Juan served in Vietnam and in Cambodia as a squad leader, platoon sergeant, platoon leader, battalion resupply NCO, and hip shoot mini fire base commander at Pleiku and An Khe, Vietnam. He was most highly decorated. He was the most highly decorated member of the 4th Infantry Division when the division returned to the United States in November of 1970. His decorations include, and it's an amazing what he did in the military, Soldier's Medal for heroism, Bronze Star Medal for valor in combat, Air Medal with 2 stars, 84 combat aerial assaults. That's 84 jumps out of helicopters. These were jumps that he did in Vietnam. Vietnam Service Medal, Republic of Vietnam Service Medal, Combat Infantry Badge, Cross for Gallantry in Vietnam, Sharpshooters Medal M16, Sharpshooters Medal M14, National Defense Medal, recommended for the Silver Star for Valor. This is the 3rd highest medal in the armed services, and learned an interpreter of Vietnamese. When Juan Jose returned back home from Las Vegas, not only was he well educated, he was battle tested and ready to take on any challenge without fear. In 1970, he started his master's degree work in history and political science and economics. The student organization that Juan Jose belonged to was SASO, which stood for Spanish Association or Spanish American Student Organization. It later became CASO, or Chicano Association for Student Organization. During this time, Hispano students were treated very badly at Hines University by the faculty, staff, and administration. Juan Jose described it as being treated like strangers on our own land. Now remember, a lot of these members of CASO were Vietnam veterans and who were just returned from fighting a brutal war. And they were not about to take this kind of mistreatment from college professors, faculty, staff, administration, and anywhere, and especially in our hometown. It was not long after that the CASO students took over the Student Senate. Then they took over the administration building, and on and on. And it was in 1971, the fall of 1971, where New Mexico Hines University named a president of the university for the first time. For the first time in the history of the United States, a Hispano president was named as president of university, of any university, and that was Dr. Francisco Angel was that president. You know, Juan Jose worked a lot with Reyes Lopez Tijerina, Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez, Cesar Chavez, Jose Angel Gutierrez, and he was also a court interpreter. He did so much. He was involved in so many organizations. And with that, I want to share with you the poem that I delivered during Juan Jose Peña's eulogy I delivered his eulogy in Las Vegas, and then we had another one here in Albuquerque. I'm going to deliver that poem right now. Juan Jose Peña, your smile was as sincere as your heart and mind. We always felt strong with you by our side. Another great champion from Las Vegas was raised and grown. One of the great Chicano civil rights leaders the world has ever known. An athlete, a teacher, a leader, and so much more. You always stood firm with the people to level the score. Las Vegas, New Mexico was your training ground for what was to become of you. Many believers had hope, and you made sure to see it through. Education was important to you, and you proved to all that all have the ability to learn, lead, and answer the call. Margarita, Char, Mariana, Federico, Elena, Fernando, your parents, antepasados, and all. You loved your family first and above all. Your partner, Anne, was like an angel in your heart. You two were always together as one heart. The movimiento captured your heart and soul and grew like fire. This was the beginning of a man who fought to inspire. Saso, Caso, la Alianza Federal de Mercedes, Partido de la Raza Unida, Hispano Round Table of New Mexico, American GI Forum, and so much more. You fought like a lion and you gave it your all to the core. Stories are often told about the movement and the Big Four. Leaders like you and many of our brothers and sisters from El Norte did much more. You fought for our country in the jungles of Vietnam, a decorated hero, and even tougher warrior you would soon become. You fought for change at Highlands, Robertson, Las Vegas, Albuquerque, and across the land. We witnessed it as a people as you raised your Chicano hand. You loved history, politics, languages, sports, traveling, debating, teaching, writing, organizing, and so much more. Your family was your first and last love forevermore. You traveled the world to expand our reach. Then you always returned home so you could mentor and teach. How did this man, Juan Jose Peña, do so much? It all came from deep inside your heart, your soul, and a heart to touch. You taught us all so much about life, justice, leadership, activism, persistence, and to stay the course. It was always about la gente as the final source. You are often regarded as a legend and a hero to the people. We the people will always be grateful to you and your family for your love for the people. No one will ever understand your sacrifices, your pain, your struggles, and more. You always held your head up high and stood strong and ready for more. You were a child of Las Vegas, El Norte, as you would proudly say, aquí estamos, and we will never go away. You loved art, music, languages, sports, food, people, and life. Our hero from Las Vegas gave all in his life. Many regard you as the greatest interpreter, linguist, and translator. We all knew you first as a leader and a brother. Our lives and our history have been changed forever because of you. We must all remember to continue this work and see the mission through. You often call me Rafa, hermano, paisano, norteño, y siempre con cariño. We fought the good fight together como hermanos y con mucho cariño. You will be greatly missed, Don Juan Jose Peña, our brother. You left your lasting mark on all of us, a champion like no other. We love you, Maestro Don Juan Jose Peña, for all that you did for the people from every angle. Go now and fly high with God, Jesus, Mary, your Hito Federico and your family, and all of God's angels. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to invite up Mayor Keller and First Lady and all of our speakers, and we are going to do our ribbon cutting ceremony for purposes.
So listen, we should also have all the neighbors who want to come in. This is a great picture, even just for the community. So whoever's interested in coming on up, come on up. We got plenty of ribbon. And Miguel, you and Ralph should really do the honors here. Let's hold up the sign, or I can hold it up. Let's get some Barelas. Come on, Owen. My kids want to touch the scissors. Come on. Yeah, I know. The scissors, the coolest scissors you'll ever see. Yeah, yeah. All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, we'll. Okay, let's do 3 backwards. Ready? 3.